Welcome to today's Explainer. We've got a really fascinating one for you today. We are launching an exclusive investigation into a massive economic anomaly that's happening right under our noses in the automotive market. We're going to dig into the numbers, bust some pretty major myths, and show you exactly what is really going on in the world of electric vehicles. So, if you love a good data-driven mystery with some serious financial implications, well, you are in exactly the right place.
It's a surprising hook, isn't it? Right now, massive premium electric SUVs, once packed to the absolute brim with cutting-edge tech, are crashing in resale value. They are plummeting. Yet the tiny, humble electric city cars that rolled off the production lines back in 2020, they're actually reigning supreme on the secondhand market. So why is this happening? How are these little urban warriors totally defying the economic gravity that's pulling down the luxury giants?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our data-driven journey today. 1. The 2020 City EV boom. 2. Driven real-world mileage. 3. The battery health truth. 4. What owners really think. And 5. Secondhand market champions.
Section 1. The 2020 City EV boom. So 2020 was an absolute watershed moment. It was the year the market for small battery-powered vehicles just completely exploded. We saw the arrival of these instant urban icons, right? Cars like the new Fiat 500e, the Renault Twingo ZE, and the incredibly popular Volkswagen e-Up, alongside its Skoda and seat cousins. And the reason we're focusing specifically on that 2020 class today is because those vehicles have actually matured. Enough time has finally passed. We don't have to rely on those optimistic factory promises or, laboratory estimates anymore. We finally have hard, real-world data straight from the streets of Europe on their mileage, their battery longevity, and genuine owner satisfaction.
Moving right along to Section 2, Driven, real-world mileage. Let's look at how these cars have actually been used over the last 4 to 5 years. Remember, unlike massive electric SUVs or those long-haul corporate sedans, these city cars were born specifically for the urban and short-range suburban environment.
And according to European statistical data, plus reports from major rental operators, these 2020 urban cars are averaging somewhere between 9,000 and 11,000 kilometers driven per year. So if you just do the math on the fleet registered back in 2020, we're looking at an accumulated average of about 55,000 to 65,000 kilometers on their odometers today. But how they actually gathered those kilometers varies wildly.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the clear split we're seeing in driver behavior. On one hand, we have the urbanites. These folks use the EV strictly as a second car for short office commutes, maybe grocery runs, sitting at a total of 35,000 to 40,000 kilometers. But on the other hand, we have the commuters. These are people living out in the suburbs who quickly realized they could exploit really cheap home charging. They've been using these little cars for heavy, daily commuting and have easily surpassed 80,000 to 100,000 kilometers. Think about your own driving habits for a second. Where do you think you'd fit in?
All right, Section 3, the battery health truth. We are about to bust wide open the absolute biggest fear buyers had back in 2020. The fear was always, will I have to throw this car in the trash after a few years because the battery is going to be completely dead?
Well, the answer from the field is a resounding, definitive no. Honestly, the numbers are staggering. According to durability tests from the German TÜV and recurrent data, after hitting about 60,000 kilometers, the battery state of health remains incredibly high. We're talking an average of between 92% and 95% of its original capacity. The data shows there was a slight initial degradation in the first 2 years, but then it just stabilized.
Let's translate that percentage into actionable, practical range so we can really grasp what that means. If you bought a 2020 City EV that could drive 200 real-world kilometers on a full charge when it was brand new, today, 4 years later, it still comfortably drives 185 to 190 kilometers. These cars are incredibly resilient. They are far, far away from the scrapyard.
Section 4. What owners really think. European reliability and satisfaction rankings, like the famous What Car Reliability Survey, put these small electrics at the absolute top of their categories. Models like the Mini Cooper SE and the VW e-Up are hitting staggering 95 to 98% reliability ratings. But let's break down the specifics.
Let's look at the unexpected joys owners are reporting. First off, if you can charge at home, your running costs are about a third of an equivalent gas car and you have almost zero mechanical servicing. Second, the instant torque at traffic lights and the total silence makes city driving genuinely stress-free.
But here's the absolute wildest fact. At 60,000 kilometers, many owners haven't even touched their original brake pads. Because regenerative braking does all the heavy lifting by capturing energy the second you lift your foot off the accelerator, your physical brakes are basically just there for decoration.
But, look, it's not all sunshine, and we want to look at the data neutrally. Here are the real gripes. Ironically, the most common failure isn't the massive high-tech traction battery at all. It's the old-school 12-volt service battery. You know, the one that runs the headlights and displays. It tends to die pretty quickly if the car just sits idle. Second gripe, improvised highway trips are painful. The aerodynamics of these little cars are frankly poor. At 130 kilometers per hour, they lack gears, and they only tolerate slow 40 to 50 kilowatt fast charging. Finally, the winter chill. Using the heater, especially on models without a heat pump, can slash your range by 25 to 30%. The big takeaway? If you bought it knowing its urban limits, you absolutely love it. If you try to make it your only car for summer road trips, you'll probably be pretty frustrated.
And finally, Section 5, Secondhand Market Champions. It's time to look at the top used market performers and solve that mystery from the very beginning of our explainer.
So the crucial point is this. Why are they beating luxury SUVs? Well, it's because their 200 to 250 kilometer range is considered absolutely perfect for urban use today. While massive 2020 premium SUVs have seen their prices completely collapse, mostly due to rapid technological advancements that make them look totally outdated, the demand for affordable, easy-to-manage second cars is just sky high. The data completely justifies this economic paradox.
Let's actually count down the podium of the absolute champions that are retaining their value best against their 2020 purchase prices. In third place, we've got the Mini Cooper SE, holding its value tightly between 16 and 20,000 euros thanks to its premium status and fun driving dynamics. In second place, the Fiat 500e with the 42 kilowatt-hour battery. It is an undisputed style icon, commanding 13 to 17,000 euros today. And taking first place, the super efficient rationalists, the VW e-Up, Skoda Citigo, and Seat Me electric trio.
And this brilliantly illustrates why that trio is sitting in first place. Just look at this quote. Owners practically drove for free for years. Back in 2020, with all the government incentives, you could buy a brand new VW e-Up for around 12,000 to 14,000 euros. Today, with 50,000 kilometers on the clock, they are being resold for between 11,000 and 13,500 euros. Sellers are literally finding buyers in days. By holding almost all of their original purchase value while costing a fraction of a gas car to run, it's just a phenomenal financial win. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to give you one crucial piece of buying advice regarding another wildly popular 2020 model, the Renault Zoe. If you are shopping the secondhand market right now, you absolutely must watch out for the battery scheme. Models with an owned battery hold a solid residual value of 12 to 14.5 thousand euros. But models with the Flex rented battery, where you have to pay a separate monthly subscription fee just for the battery itself, those have plummeted to 8.5 to 10,000 euros. Buyers today are actively avoiding those recurring fixed costs, so just know what you're looking at. And that brings us to the end of our investigation. I sincerely want to thank you all for joining me today to explore this data. I really hope you're walking away with a totally new perspective on the electric vehicle market, armed with the actual facts about real-world range, depreciation, and exactly why these tiny 2020 cars have become such massive financial champions. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Now that the great dying battery myth is completely busted, is your next city car going to have a plug? Let that sink in. Thanks for learning with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.